the difficulty of programming, the more value you get in the data science or the insight. So if you are using what happened, so it is more of a historical past. So it is called the descriptive analytics. It is your statistical models run on the data, right? So data, so you get the descriptive analytics. So when what, why did it happen? So it is more of a diagnostic analytic. So you are identifying what parameters made it happen, right? So it is a business intelligence. So this is so the data with some business intelligence, it makes it a diagnostic analytics. What will happen is a predictive. So data with forecasting model makes it a predictive analytics. So data, you are using the data and trying to forecast something is a predictive analytics. And the highest part of it is called prescriptive analytics, that how can we make it happen. So it's a combination of data, the business intelligence, and the machine learning. So if the data, what variables may change to get a desired output, right? So that is forecasting a value and manipulating the data variables, so that based on those variables you are uh, targeting a particular forecast. So that is the highest level, which is called the so it's more related to the operational research part of it, prescriptive analytics. So summary is that all these data is being captured and we are drowning in data but starving for knowledge. So that is the ultimate point, that a lot of data is being collected and we are actually drowning in data and starving for knowledge. So somewhere we have to start using data science to get best out of this data mining for our knowledge. Quickly, I would say that why now? So because of the cost of the storage has decreased, compute power. So even your mobile has a great compute power, bandwidth. 100 MB of bandwidth is available from your home also, right? So because of, and a lot of investment has gone into the AI part. So this R, people, even a small developer can learn R and use all those mathematical models which are now readily available with R packages. So be it R, Python, this Python and all. So these are all what lot of research has gone into creating those algorithms. So which has made data science as a popular as of now. What next? So it helps in reducing costs, helps in detection and prevention of fraud, right? Helps in extrapolating the current trends. Even Government of India has released a national strategy on artificial intelligence. So read this article, which is available from niti.gov.in, and this white paper talks about which areas Government of India is focusing on. So major focus of business analytics would be used in healthcare, agriculture, education, smart cities and infrastructure, and transportation. These are the areas where Government of India is focusing on. And a lot of data is, so if you want to develop your own models, you can use a lot of data from these sites. Government of India also has that data.gov.in. Other countries also have a lot of open data available. So these are some of the case studies which I wanted to share. One was from the uh, Indian Railway Reservation System. So this is what the history of Indian Railway Reservation System is. So we had developed it in 1995, and all this was, this concert uh, was implemented by 2000, and then we had developed the web part of it, e-ticketing, and finally these are all various clusters of PRS. PRS is Passenger Reservation System central servers. Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Calcutta, and Hyderabad has now become the DR site. So we have been developing a lot of data now. So all this data has been collected into a data warehouse now, and now a lot of business analytical tools have run on that data warehouse, which gives you this kind of an output. So even in your IRCTC portal now, you would see that what is the likelihood of a ticket getting confirmed. You will start getting this method now, right? If there is a particular waitlist ticket, waitlist 48, then what is the percentage of that ticket getting confirmed, right? wait list 30, the wait confirmation is 64%. So it takes care of the time series. So it is analyzing whether there was a Sunday on that day, or an additional coach was added, because of that the wait list had. So that those are the outliers, right? So based on those outliers, it will create a complete probability model, and then give you this probability model. Have you seen this, guys? Right? So this is all because of a lot of 30 years of data has been collected and created into a data warehouse, and now running those BI tools, the time series analysis, the ARIMA model, different methods are available which are used to predict the chances of a probabilistic model to having the ticket confirmed on a particular wait list. So these could be other use cases. The user churn prediction, right? We have discussed recommendation engine, upselling and cross selling, customer segmentation for the sales team, market campaign optimization. So you need not send, so budget will exhaust if you start sending or marketing your collaterals to each and every one. So you have to do a target marketing. Product inventory optimization. So how to effectively, so whatever products are being sold, right, effectively you manage the product optimization. Dynamic deal scoring, I talked about the e-commerce site. So on Tuesdays we started giving dynamic deals based on the sales pattern and the outliers, and our sales increased because of this. Even in agriculture, a lot of use cases are available. Crop and soil monitoring can be done using those sensors, IoT based devices. Predicting the agricultural, and I'm also one of the member of this uh, steering committee on Ministry of Agriculture. So I'll talk about one of the use case in the next slide. Supply chain efficiencies, right? Image recognition for soil science. Based on that, it can identify the pest and other diseases. So like kisans have been given, or these farmers have been given with certain scientific applications. So based on the image that they scan, they can identify what kind of a this pesticide they have to use. So there's all using data science now. Minimum support price estimation. So MSP, we already know that a lot of agitations are on. That's because you have to implement MSP. That is what they are. So MSP, we are going to, this is the model which we are working on. So we are trying to create a machine learning model for estimating the minimum support price using the forecasting model. So it's a multivariate agricultural commodity MSP price forecasting model, and we are taking a lot of inputs from eNAM, which is e-National Agriculture Market, soil health card given to farmers, M-Kisan portal, right? And these are other, this price optimization allows the retailer to consider the factors such as the competition, the yield prediction using ML, right? Weather forecast. So based on different weathers, the yield would be different. Seasons, the special events, holidays, accordingly the MSP should change. If there is a it's all because of demand and supply ratio, right? So based on that, the MSP should vary. Macroeconomics, farm machinery, the cost of tractors and others, input costs like seed, fertilizer, pesticide, whether you have warehouse in this area, cold storage in that area or not. Accordingly, the MSP should. So as of now, government is only able to do this predictive modeling and come out with MSP once in a while, right? Let's say once in every year. But and for the same, for the complete country it is the same, right? But in different regions, because of different uh, parameters, it should vary based on the demand and supply. So that's how government is trying to come up with a model, dynamic model of MSP, which can be worked out area wise, district wise, state wise, right? Different geographies. And these are different algorithms that we are going to use, using the dimension detection, naive Bayesian algorithm, and the ARIMA model for forecasting the MSP prices. Even I have read about the AKTU interacting with the KGMU to develop this artificial intelligence powered computer model that can predict COVID using the chest X-ray. So it has taken lots of chest X-rays. Accordingly, it has classified them with COVID patient or non-COVID patient. So using the various regression, Poisson regression or different regression method, it has trying to classify whether a particular kind of an X-ray is a X-ray of a COVID patient or not, 0 or 1. Very interesting. Last 2 years back on FIFA 2018, uh, it had used this deep neural network using the IoTs on the players. So what they have done, they have given a IoT sensor based devices, and then they would calculate what is the sweating. So the managers had their dashboard on their hand, and they would identify which particular player has sweated a lot, what is the pulse rate of each player, and how much they have run. Based on all that, they identify what is the fatigueness of these players. So accordingly, they would efficiently replace those players. So they have been using this based on the IoT and the machine learning and neural network. They are identifying the efficiency of those players, and more IoT and sensor based data would be used in coming FIFA and other games as well. So I'll just quickly close by saying that AI enabled real time surveillance in the smart cities. It will have 1 billion cameras by end of this year, and each camera generates around 30 information. So 30 billion information per second kind of volume is being captured. So is it possible to do this using manual eye and all? Can somebody look at these many transactions? No. So it has to be all these automated tools, data science tools, which will identify the outliers. So it could be a complete surveillance system, real-time surveillance system, which can identify, let's say, vehicles or license recognition. So text mining, image recognition, right? Face detection, right? All this can be done using the data science. Or even like in COVID scenario, whether a mask has been worn or not, it can detect the social distance, or whether somebody is wearing a mask or not. All this can be done using the AI analytical tools. It can also identify to the extent that seat belt is fastened, whether the person is on phone, right, riding without a helmet. All these can be identified using the AI and machine learning algorithm. Like I have last year, I have done a sentiment analysis on Havel's Adonia when they had launched, right? So 3 months after that, I had done the sentiment analysis. I have extracted the Twitter feed, and I was able to get some positive and some negative out it, and the extract was shared with Havel's team, and accordingly they did a corrective action on that. So even text mining can be used with any of these keywords, and I have done this for FIFA 2018, IoT, and data science, and accordingly, whatever keywords are associated with them, I could collect them. So these are some of the recent articles of mine that has been published, and these are related to the fintech startup or your data science case studies or blockchain enabled. So uh, good to read them. Many of the students ask me what are the good books on data science and machine learning. So these are few which I recommend, and I've read about them. So Ken Black's statistical modeling, data mining from the Springer, right? And discovering statistics using R, ND field, data science for business. So these are some good books that you should focus on. And I would finally say that data science is everywhere, be it internet, image classification, speech recognition, language translation, whatever, right? In medicine, drug discovery, COVID-19 detection, everybody is using it now. Media entertainment, right? Media captioning, automatically it identifies the voice and converts it into. So these are all voice recognitions, and it's all real-time translations. Security, face detection, video surveillance systems, satellite imagery, autonomous vehicles anyway is picking up. So I would finally summarize that data science is not a process. It has to, it's a process, it's not a product. It takes time, believe me. It's an evolution, not a revolution. So testing it is a key. Evolving the standard test cases is critical. So three T's are try, test, and tier it. So repeat it, improve it, and grow it is the mantra of success mantra for data analytics. So my meaning of data and science is torture the data and it will confess to anything. That's the intent of the data science. But for new startups, I have certain tips which I wanted to share. So few of you would start the new company. So startup should have new product or service to be offered or a new idea which addresses an existing challenge, and it should have a scalable over time. Team capability should have these five key personalities of the to be a successful model. So the technocrat, superstar kind of person, an operations leader. You need to manage the complete show. So there are an operational leader is required, an industry veteran, very needed. Why so? Because he or she understands the nuisances of the industry. So a industry veteran is key to the success. One sales and marketing guy and a finance guy. So these are 4 5 people which are key to a startup. Register your IPs, so intellectual properties or patents of your idea and solution at the right time. Not do not hurry about it. So appropriate time when you are comfortable that this will scale up, then only go for your IPs. Startup lose their money too fast as the world changes the business models very frequently, right? So accordingly you have to change. So uh, you have to avoid this fast uh, burnout of your money. Startups have to reinvent themselves constantly with changing business times, with effective use of data and analytics for the business decisions. That's key to success of the startups. And this data driven insight helps the startup take a quick leap over their competition. So these are some of the tips, but some of the startups fail. That I have analyzed some of the key reasons for that. So what are these mistakes that have killed the startups? A single founder. So associate with a good friend or some those two have you two should have a different skill set. Though you should complement each other. Selecting wrong platform, so they start with some open source and finally they struggle in modifying those open sources, and finally uh, the business would have moved further and they are still struggling with the wrong platform. Slowness in launching a product or launching it too early, right? Having a specific user group as target. So you have to expand your horizon. Think of the mass in so don't target a particular kind of a customer. Your product or solution should be scalable. Raising too little or raising too much of a money, that is also a killer. Half-hearted effort, not wanting to get your hands dirty. You have to get into that business. Fight between the founders, that is also one of the issues. Startups have no sales experience. That happens with most of the startups, and hence revenue generation is a challenge. So when you don't generate revenue, you end up finally closing your startup. So focus on whatever sales, small, big, whatever. Start the revenue part of it. Have a good sales guy, and no effective use of social media, data driven insights, or disruptive technologies in your business. So if you don't use them, you will end up closing your startup, right? So finally I would say that starting a startup is not about sticking to your vision approach. Startups are more like science, so where you need to follow the trail wherever it leads. So change your business models accordingly. Point is, so keep innovating with the effective use of data driven insights.